You don't have to be paranoid to see what's going on in this country. All you have to do is pay attention. Just look around, turn on the local news, glance at the headlines, or take a short walk through any urban downtown area after dark. If you're honest with yourself, you'll admit that staying safe in America today is no longer just about locking your doors at night or avoiding bad neighborhoods. It's deeper than that. These days, the best decision you can make for yourself and your family is to carry a gun. Plain and simple. Now, I've been saying this for years. To me, it's not about politics. It's not about posturing. It's just reality. If you're stepping outside, whether it's for gas, groceries, or even a peaceful hike, you need to be prepared. I'd argue you should never leave home unarmed. But if nothing else, there are 5 places where you absolutely should never, ever go in the U.S. without a firearm. These places are not just risky. They're ticking time bombs, places where the wrong person, at the wrong time, can turn a regular afternoon into a nightmare. Let's start with the obvious one: major U.S. cities. It doesn't matter which one you pick. They're all dealing with the same problem: crime. And I'm not talking about low-level stuff. I mean organized retail theft in broad daylight, armed carjackings, street muggings, and random attacks on commuters. You hear stories all the time about someone just walking home from work or getting on the subway and ending up in the hospital. Or worse, people are being assaulted at intersections, robbed at ATMs, shot over traffic disputes. And these aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a growing pattern that no one wants to admit out loud, because doing so would mean confronting how unsafe things have really become. Some cities have technically seen crime numbers dip slightly, homicide rates down a few points here or there, but that doesn't mean they're safer. It just means the violence has shifted. Maybe fewer murders, but more robberies, fewer shootings, but more assaults. That doesn't make anyone feel better when they're walking downtown at 8 p.m. with their kids and suddenly feel the need to cross the street because a group of strangers is approaching. And the worst part? The very cities with the highest crime rates are often the same ones that make it the hardest for law-abiding citizens to defend themselves. Whether it's California's red tape or New York's endless list of sensitive locations, you're left with one option: break the law or hope the police get there in time. And lately, we all know how that tends to go. Police departments are understaffed, overworked, and often held back by politics and bureaucracy. They can't be everywhere, and even if they were, they still might not get to you in time. So if you ask me, the biggest threat in these cities isn't just the criminals, it's the laws that keep you from being able to protect yourself. If someone wants to do harm, they're not worrying about carry permits or gun-free zones. But you, the honest citizen, are the one left vulnerable. That's the backwards world we live in. Which brings us to the second place you should never visit unarmed: the gas station. At first glance, it seems like a harmless enough place. You stop in, swipe your card, maybe run inside to grab a drink, and you're out of there in 5 minutes. But that's exactly the problem. Gas stations are predictable, and criminals love predictable targets. They know people are distracted. They know you're focused on your pump, looking down at your phone, or maybe wrestling a screaming kid in the back seat. They also know you're probably carrying cash or cards and have your car running. Late-night stops are especially dangerous. A gas station after 10 p.m. is one of the most vulnerable spots you can find yourself in. You've got low visibility, minimal foot traffic, and often just one lone cashier behind the counter. It becomes the perfect setup for quick-hit robberies or violent ambushes. And this isn't just in rundown neighborhoods. Incidents like these are happening in broad suburban areas, even near schools and shopping centers. I've seen footage, security camera clips from stations where someone pulls up to pump gas and, before they can even unbuckle their seatbelt, 2 people jump out of a car and rush them. One with a gun, one grabbing the keys. It's over in seconds. That's the reality. And in that moment, your ability to respond makes all the difference. You don't always think about how exposed you are until it's too late. You're out there, minding your business, maybe just pumping gas or waiting in line for a receipt, and someone decides that today is the day they're going to make you their victim. There's no warning, no time to call for help. That's the moment you'll wish you were armed. And it's not just gas stations. Any kind of public gathering place where people relax, let their guard down, or assume someone else is handling security. Those are the places where things go sideways fast. Think about movie theaters, concerts, sports arenas, even street festivals. These venues are what we call soft targets: big crowds, minimal checkpoints, limited exits, and almost no one expecting violence until it starts. The most terrifying thing about these attacks is how random they are. There's rarely a pattern. One day it's a guy who lost his job and decided to lash out. The next it's someone trying to make a name for themselves. Whatever the motive, the outcome is the same: innocent people in a panic, looking for shelter, running for the doors, and in those few minutes, or even seconds, it takes to understand what's happening. Most people are frozen, but not everyone. Some people are prepared, and more often than not, it's the people who carry that stand between chaos and control. Theaters are dark, the music is loud, your attention is focused on a screen, a stage, or the person next to you. That's exactly why they're vulnerable. There's no easy way out, and even fewer ways to protect yourself if things go wrong. You're packed in with dozens, maybe hundreds of strangers, and you can't tell who's safe and who's dangerous. That's why I never step foot into any public venue without carrying. Not because I'm looking for trouble, but because I refuse to be caught off guard. I owe that to my family. And while we're on the subject of everyday places where people don't expect danger, let's talk about stores, restaurants, and malls. These are the places we visit the most, sometimes daily, and yet we treat them like safe zones, but they're not. In fact, public retail and food establishments have become some of the most frequent sites of mass violence in recent years. And I don't mean petty theft. I'm talking about situations where someone walks in with a weapon and opens fire. People diving behind shopping carts, crouching in dressing rooms, employees locking stockroom doors to hide. These things aren't rare anymore. They're becoming part of the reality we live in, whether it's someone fueled by ideology, personal grievance, or just mental instability. It doesn't really matter when you're caught in the middle of it. The outcome is always the same: confusion, fear, people scrambling, and the hope that someone knows how to stop it. I've seen reports where the victims didn't even realize what was happening until it was too late. They thought it was a firework or a speaker popping. That's how fast and disorienting these events are. You don't get a 5-minute heads up, you get seconds. And in those seconds, whether or not you're carrying might be the difference between getting out or never getting up. Even restaurants, yes, restaurants, have turned into targets. Someone walks in, angry about a bill, a personal dispute, or just bringing street violence through the front door. One second you're reaching for the salt shaker. The next, you're watching people dive to the floor. We live in a world now where you can't afford to be naive about public places, even the ones that seem calm, clean, and safe. If you're going to eat out, shop, or take your family to the mall, you need to be prepared for anything. But the danger doesn't stop when you leave the city or step away from the lights. In fact, some of the most deceptive risks are the ones hiding in nature. The wilderness might seem like the safest place in America. No sirens, no crowds, just trees and trails and the sound of wind through the branches. But isolation doesn't mean security. It just means if something goes wrong, help might be an hour or a day away. When you're hiking deep in the woods, camping near a remote river, or driving into the backcountry, you're entering a space where you are your only backup. Sure, there's wildlife to consider: bears, mountain lions, even wild dogs in some regions. But that's not what I worry about most. It's the people. You'd be amazed how many remote areas have become dumping grounds for criminal activity, drug operations, or just strange, unpredictable individuals looking to be left alone. Or worse, to not be found. There are no streetlights in the wilderness, no nearby neighbors to hear you yell. If someone approaches you with bad intentions out there, you don't have time to call 911. Even if you could, good luck getting a signal in the middle of a canyon. The only thing that's going to keep you safe in that situation is what you have on your hip and how ready you are to use it. A quiet hike with your spouse, a solo fishing trip, an off-grid camping experience. All of these things can be wonderful, peaceful, grounding experiences. But there are also situations where the wrong encounter can go south in a heartbeat. And when that happens, being armed isn't just a matter of safety, it's a matter of survival. Carrying a firearm isn't just about reacting to threats. It's a mindset. It's about stepping into the world with a sense of clarity, not fear, not aggression, just readiness. Because in a country where danger can appear anywhere, being prepared isn't extreme. It's responsible. This way of thinking isn't just for a few people. It's for anyone who values their safety and refuses to leave it to chance. It's not about being paranoid. It's about choosing not to be passive. When you carry, you're not just protecting yourself. You're making a statement that your life matters, that your family matters, and that you won't wait for help that may come too late. Of course, always comply with your local and state firearm laws. Know where you can legally carry, stay informed, and be responsible in both mindset and practice. Being prepared means being lawful, too. So, wherever you go, across city streets, store aisles, concert halls, quiet trails, walk with purpose, carry with purpose, and most of all, live with purpose. Thanks for spending time with me today. Stay sharp, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.